Welcome to today's town hall. So as people are starting to streaming, I will just start with my regular updates. So welcome to today's town hall. If you're new to this event, you should know that we are recording and we are live streaming across YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So if you get disconnected from Zoom at all, you can go and check out the video there on YouTube. We'll keep an eye out for any questions on those channels as well. So if you do get disconnected, you can still ask your questions in the question portion of the event. As always, we are going to start off with a few product updates, and then we'll move into the Q&A section. Please, as always, try and use the Q&A functionality at the bottom of your screen to ask your questions rather than the chat. If you're using the chat functionality, your questions can often get lost. There's ends up being hundreds of questions during a session, so it's difficult for us to keep track and make sure we're answering people directly. So yeah, please use Q&A functionality at the bottom. When we get to the Q&A portion of the event, please try and use the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen. So there's an emoji reaction button and click raise hand if you would like to come on stage to ask your question. And just before I move on to giving Andrew the mic, I just want to kind of shout out one thing from marketing for a change. So before the end of the year, myself and PC are going to sit down and do a little bit of a podcast session looking back at 2023 and looking forward to 2024. So that's going to be looking at, what Hospitable has achieved, the highs and lows of the year, but then also looking at the industry as a whole. And we'd love to get some customer questions on that event as well. So if you'd like to ask PC a question, preferably something kind of strategic about the industry, about the company, we'd really appreciate it if you can scan that QR code now and send us your questions, preferably before the end of the week, so we can make sure that we get those submitted and included in the interview. So yeah, that's all from me. I'm just going to hover and let you scan that quickly, and then I'm going to hand over to Andrew with the direct updates. Andrew.
Cool. Yep. So lots to talk about this week. One of the main projects we're working on, give you a quick glimpse here of what's to come. This is looking at the property search, basically property search for non-hospitable sites. So if you're using a hosted site, we're almost done with this new UI that's going to do a few things for you. One, it's going to refactor how we look at widgets. If you've already started using this, we allow you to create booking widgets from the site. We're actually going to kind of change the way we're presenting that. I think that's confused people in the past. So now we're going to refer to this as basically a custom site, a site that you host, and there's going to be more than one widget now. So there's the booking widget that you're probably all familiar with. There's also the new property search widget, which is the new feature that we've talked about in the last couple town halls that gives you the map search, the multi-property search on your site. So we don't have that available yet for non-hospitable sites. That's going to go live early next week. So we're just starting to test this now with a private beta. But what you're going to do is be able to scope properties to your booking widget. You're going to be able to set any color scheme you want. So far, we only allow you to pick from the templates that we have, even though your non-hospitable site might have completely different color scheme. So that was never great. We're going to update you to have a full color palette to choose, even some more CSS, some styling options for your widgets, and then be able to set the same kind of location controls that people that are using the hospitable sites now can use. And the other big one that gets done with that is you're going to be able to list your properties on Google Vacation Rentals. To do that, we're going to need to collect your property URLs. So for your own site, each property page, we need to check those, make sure that your site's up, your SSL security cert's okay, and then we're comfortable listing your inventory for you on Google. So that's one of the big projects we're working on now. And then once we get that live, that means all of our hospitable customers are able to use Google. All of our hospitable customers can have the property search widget or that experience on the hospitable site. And then we'll look at coming back and making some just general improvements in the way the map works, the search works. That's really just an early version of that. There's a lot of improvements we know we want to make, and I'm sure we'll get more feedback on that in this and future town halls about all the improvements that we can make there. Another big project we're working on, or sorry, wrong slide, Google Vacation Rentals. So yeah, it's been great. We've been working on it in the background, making little tweaks. Performance is really kicking up. So we're now at over 4,000 properties that you guys have listed on GVR. And we're hitting new all-time highs day after day with impressions. We're gonna get that for you in the product. So we're gonna start looking at tracking conversions, so you can actually see how your properties are doing on Google. Right now, there's no visibility on that. We have visibility in the aggregate of how all the properties are doing, and it's good. We're providing lots of leads, but we want to make sure that we give you a dashboard so you can see how that's doing. And then after that, the next update I think we'll look at with GVR is letting you basically create your own brand. So it doesn't have to be hospitable.com for your direct site. You'll be able to put your own logo and your own name on your listings when they appear in Google. All right, next project, quotes. We've been in progress with this for a little while. It's a pretty decent project, actually. We're having to refactor a lot of the way our system works. We did release the first part of that. Quotes, if you've been on previous town halls, it's going to basically come from manual reservations. There'll be new functionality on top of a manual reservation. And the first part of that is we want you to be able to find previous guests that stayed with you. Immediately, that's a win because you don't have to look up their phone number or their email if they've stayed with you before and re-enter that information. It now autofills for you. If you're a beta customer, you can try that out. The reason that we put this in the direct roadmap is because that gives us the ability to find previous verifications. So for premium users, one of the important parts of quotes is we didn't want a repeat guest to have to go back and do verification. Quotes is going to be the first place that we can do that. So we're going to find previous verifications and let you kind of bypass that for guests that have recently verified. And then the final kind of meat of the quote feature is to allow you to create a custom quote, meaning set your own price based on whatever your site is displaying. You can have a discount for that and then create a payment link for the guest. So that's all in progress. And yeah, it shouldn't be too much longer before we have a proper working feature to share. Otherwise, not too many updates on the other items that are kind of in progress or about to be in progress. We are still working through tax filings, remittance for direct premium. We've started on new payment methods and modes. So these are multiple payments, being able to take bank drafts, so like an ACH payment for someone making a big payment, that recurring payment that would allow everybody to save money on payment processing fees, including the guest. Looking at some of those things. And then, yeah, we've talked about other items before, but e-signature implementation for rental agreements, getting back to promo codes. Right now, they're only fixed rate, doing a percentage-based one. That's been a popular feature request. We did launch direct premium in the UK, but Canada is still taking us a bit longer because we need to figure out our own way to manage the taxes there. And that's a little bit of work. So sorry about the delays on that. And last up, I'll just leave you, if you want to have additional session with me to do Q&A, really practical stuff about getting direct set up, we do have a Hospitable Buddies session scheduled for next week, I think at the same time. So Wednesday morning for US audience. And I'll be on with Kevin from the customer support team and doing a little bit of chatting about direct, what we're working on, etc. But a lot of time for Q&A for anyone that needs help getting set up or has questions about direct. And with that, I will pass it to Emily to take on our core updates.
Hey, everybody. I kind of like the thought of renaming Hospitable Buddies to Hospitable Baddies that you almost said, Andrew. If we ever go for a little more edge, maybe we can consider that. All right, I'm here today with some updates on core and connectivity. So first, some smart locks updates. So during our town hall 2 weeks ago, we shared with you that we'd received a lot of great feedback on a beta feature that we had released that we were kind of calling always on code communication. You guys gave us some really awesome feedback on this. At the time of our last town hall, we hadn't yet made decisions on how we were going to act on that. But that Friday, our smart locks product and engineering teams met up and made some choices, and we've made some changes. So I want to communicate that to you guys and let you know what to expect in the future. So the first and biggest thing that we've done is we've just totally nixed the reminder message. So if you hadn't used this feature, quick update on what that was. We had decided to send 10 minutes before the code was going to be active on the lock, send a quick message to the guest that said, reminder, this is your access code. A lot of hosts reached out to us and didn't love that because either they had recently communicated the code already, so it felt like they were doubling up, duplicating, doubling up. Or many hosts had, specific instructions about the lock that they really wanted to include, and we didn't allow editing in that message. So some of that context was lost. Some people, for example, needed to press home first, or, needed to press the unlock icon after the code, whatever it may be. So we've decided to nix that message entirely. If we see that you've already communicated the code to the guest and that code is the accurate code that's still on the lock waiting for that guest, we're not going to say anything. The guest has the information they need and they should be able to access your property successfully. Two things we will continue to do. We have two other messages called the code not sent message and the code issue message. If we can see that we've generated a code for your guest, but you haven't shared that code with them through the smart lock code shortcode, or in any messaging previously, we'll send the code to the guest. We see it as part of our responsibility whenever it is in our control to make sure that the guest can access your property. So if we know that you haven't shared the code with them, we will do that 10 minutes before you are allowing them access to your property. And along those same lines, if there's been an issue with the code for any reason, if we've had to maybe change the code, use a backup code, whatever it may be, and the code has changed from what you'd previously communicated, we will communicate that to the guest as well. So you will not have to kind of keep an eye on the code potentially changing. We're doing that for you. If the code changes for any reason, we'll let the guest know 10 minutes before the code is set to be active on the lock. So right now, this feature is able to be enabled for those of you who are beta users. Starting next week, we're going to turn this on by default for all beta users. So if you are hoping to try this out and want to give feedback on this feature, go ahead and enable it right now and use it for the week so that you have a chance to see how it's working and get your feedback in before we make the decision to release to all beta users and then release to our general audience. This project is an important one, kind of as part of our efforts to make sure that those PIN codes are successful 99.9999% of the time. And so we're doing what we can to make sure that your guests are getting the codes that they need to enter your property. If there's any questions on this, we can get to those in the Q&A time, and we can try to help you out because there's a lot of moving pieces there. Next on smart locks, we have some new supported smart locks in beta. Nuki was just released a public beta. We've had this in private beta for several weeks and have seen some really good success with that. So now it's available to everybody who has beta features enabled. If you use this lock and you don't have beta features enabled, go ahead and enable it. And then you can get access to integrate your Nuki locks with Hospitable, and we'll take control of setting your codes from there. Igloo has been in beta for a while, is doing pretty well. We're expecting to release that to the general audience here soon once we knock out a couple more things that we've seen with that integration. So all good there. Next, mobile app. Okay, so a couple quick updates on some changes we've made for our mobile app. And I also just want to reiterate what we try to do every town hall, that we hear your feedback, right? That's what these town halls are for you guys to give us feedback, and we have other avenues for you to give feedback as well. So thank you, Anthony, for starting a little miniature political movement on our Facebook and getting a lot of upvotes as well. Congratulations, you've reclaimed 45% of your screen real estate. What we've done here, if you're on the mobile app, we've actually taken off the top chunk of the screen, which contains some help articles, a product tour, stuff like that. The assumption is if you're using the mobile app and you're on the inbox, you're not there necessarily to get help, you're there to answer your guests, right? So we're giving you back more of your screen to use for the messages that are actually in your inbox. So thank you for that feedback. We've made those changes and you can see that in your app today. Along those same lines, thank you, Rosa, for your feedback. Had a great office hours with Rosa last week. She mentioned, she kind of walked me through all the clicks she has to take in her mobile app in order to edit a future scheduled message for a guest. So kind of the use case is you're on the go here and you think, you know what, that guest mentioned it's their birthday. I would love to be able to, in their check-in message, mention like, I'm so glad you're coming for your birthday, whatever, customize that a little bit, right? Which all of us hosts love to do. It's why we get into the business. She walked me through all the clicks she was having to take to get there, and it was a lot. I think it was like 6, too many. And so we've just made a very small, simple change where we're actually making this little activity panel in the reservation sidebar accessible in more places. So if you click on the reservation from the calendar, you can see that in the reservation sidebar there. Whereas before, it was a much more simplified version of reservation information that didn't actually allow you to edit those scheduled messages. So saving you a couple clicks there, but hopefully that amounts to more time saved in the future, considering all that you guys are doing in the mobile app today. Next, some improvements with our suggest or reply with AI feature. In our last town hall, many of you mentioned that some of the suggestions were just completely cutting off. They were incomplete suggestions. So we've done a couple of quick fixes where we've like increased the token limit and also improved our prompt to actually make sure that the suggestions which AI is giving in those moments, aren't too long, right? And we can give that complete suggestion. So that was kind of a quick fix. So we hope that we're not going to be seeing any of those cutoff messages in the future. And we've also made some improvements to our prompt, which is currently in a private beta. So again, these are some quick prompt improvements, which we're hoping to release to our beta audience soon to kind of pave the way for even more prompt improvements, like giving AI context of your property specific policies, like in what situations do you allow early check-in, or in what situations do you allow pets, or whatever it may be. All those like nitty-gritty specifics, we're planning on giving AI that context so that the suggestions that are being made with AI are more accurate and more in line with the messages that in the past you've had to manually type up because it's just so unique. We can learn from what you've sent in the past and make those suggestions a little bit more accurate in the future. So stay tuned for a lot more details on that in upcoming town halls and communications from us as well. Next, speed optimization. So this is kind of a fun one, and it's so nice that both of these numbers have a 7 in it. So most of our hosts have under 5 properties, right? We really cater to individual owners and hosts. But we've seen a lot of people over the years come to us with 2 properties, and now they have hundreds or 1,000 because hosts are growing their businesses, and that's really great to see. A downside of that is that sometimes our product is kind of slow for people who have a ton of properties. And so we took a look at one page in particular, which was the manual booking page, which for hosts who had over 100 properties, sometimes like wasn't loading at all, or in one case we saw it took 7 seconds to load. So Ben got heads down with this, took a look, and was able to optimize this so that for that particular host, what was taking 7 seconds to load now takes 0.7 seconds. And again, this is for a host with hundreds of properties. So for the largest chunk of our users, like this is going to be super speedy. And this positively impacted our manual booking screen, the calendar for hosts with a lot of properties, as well as like how quickly that properties drop down loads anywhere there is a properties drop down. So that's always fun too. Some nice speed improvements. All right, what are we focused on now and next? So we've talked a lot about our metrics dashboard, and we're getting very close here. So a quick progress update. We are in private beta with this metrics dashboard. So, we've talked a lot about private beta and public beta on this call, which I don't think we usually make that differentiation. So let me quickly clarify that. Private beta is a situation where we kind of handpick several hosts to give access to. This is not necessarily everybody who has beta features enabled. It's a smaller group that we can really keep a close eye on so that to help us like monitor and ensure these features are going to be really successful. So our metrics dashboard is in that. It is in private beta. A handful of hosts have this. And Alyssa, our other product manager, is going to be hosting some live feedback sessions with those in private beta tomorrow so that they can use it and give feedback. From there, the public beta will be next. So if you see this and you're like, I need this, go ahead, toggle beta features on so that you can be one of the first people to access it when it is released to public beta. But this is really great. This is a screenshot of a real account. So it has these visuals of some nice KPIs at the top, really robust filtering. You can kind of really get to anything you need with these new metrics, which is really, really exciting. So kind of gone are the days of that big old CSV download. Now you can get what you need with a nice visual directly in Hospitable. All right, and parent-child. So quick progress update here. The backend development for this is actually done. So what that means is that it works, right? What we have yet to do and are starting next week is the front-end development. So this is everything that you see and everything that you interact with. So here's a quick screenshot of like what this will look close to in the future. Basically, parent-child touches so many different parts of our product. And it's kind of one of those things that once you get into it, you're like, wow, like we need to make an update on almost every single page because of everywhere that this touches if you have properties with those relationships. So this is just a quick glance of what the calendar might look like, where you might see a booking on a parent property that is then going to block the child properties. We're going to group those together really nice. This is actually going to be a little bit better than what Airbnb currently does today. Airbnb doesn't even group linked calendar properties together. So when you're looking at your multi-calendar there, it's like really difficult to understand, like, where is that block coming from? You know, you might have a child here and a parent here and another child here. So we're going to be grouping those properties together and being really clear and explicit about why there are blocks when it's due to a booking on a related property, and give you some more cool views for that. So yeah, front end starting next week. We're excited about that. And I'm hoping in the next town hall, we can give you a little bit of a better idea of when you can expect this to go into a private beta and then a public beta to follow. So many of you guys have reached out and expressed interest in private beta. So I'll be reaching out to all of you guys soon with more details to start getting that coordinated. Last but not least, just another little shout out about giving us feedback. I shared this slide last week. We're using a new tool to collect feedback from you all. Before we were using something called Conflux, and now we're using something called FeatureBase, just a little bit easier to use. But what I really want to point out here, it really helps us if you can give us feedback through this method. So on the little like thing, the Hospitable icon on the bottom right of your app, click that. There's like a section that says have something to say, upvote ideas. Click on that, and then you have some options here where you can submit a new feature request, you can upvote some existing ideas, you can look at our roadmap so you can actually see like what are we working on today and what are we working on next. A cool thing about this new product that we're using is it's actually tied into a tool that we use for our development. So like when we see that something is shipped, it's actually going to get marked off here on this roadmap. So it's actually like going to be updated. Our other one wasn't as integrated, so it was tough to keep it updated all the time, and it was always kind of out of date. One thing to mention here, this could also help out our support team, right? If you have a feature request or an idea, it's best to submit it in this way, and then go to our support team when you actually have an issue that needs solving, right? Submitting ideas in this way is going to help because you're not going to have to wait on the bot to, you know, ask you all those questions. If you just have an idea, you can just quickly submit it and move on. And also go see the other ideas that have been submitted. Add your comments, add your upvotes. We see hosts having little conversations in here. That's really great. And then we can also see like on our side, we can see who all has upvoted that idea. So when it comes time for us to do our own research and consider this as a new feature, we have like a big group of hosts to reach out to get more context from and to learn from and help us in our research. So please make use of that. And we're excited to hear all the other great ideas you guys have. All right, that's all I got. Back to Miles for Q&A.
Cool. Thank you very much, Emily. So yeah, as Emily said, it's now time for our Q&A portion. So if you would like to come on stage to ask us a question, you can use the reaction button at the bottom and click the raise hand button. You can obviously also use our Q&A written functionality. I've seen there's been lots of questions already answered, so feel free to stick more in there. If you do have a question, please try to use the Q&A functionality or raise your hand instead of using chat. Those chat messages are very difficult for us to keep track of who's asking what and to reply to the right person. So yeah. any takers on the raised hands? Seems like a quiet audience today so far. Yeah. Okay, there we go. Natasha, welcoming you on stage now. Hello, Natasha. Hey, Natasha, you've unmuted. Do you have a question for us? Doesn't look like it.
Hello, everyone. Jen, you want to Natasha?
Yeah. Natasha, while you're trying to unmute yourself, I saw a couple comments about support. So of course my ears pinged up and I just wanted to throw a note in there. We had a few folks saying that maybe it felt harder to like get to us. We do have live people over here. Chat us from your account and you can get to us. We do have some bots that help kind of ask some questions so that we can get info so that when you do speak to us, we have what we need. I've personally seen those bots kind of take over sometimes, and that is not what we want. We actually have someone on board to help us with a lot of like refinements, and that's one of them, is make the bots less annoying. We want you to be able to get to us. But yes, definitely chat us. You can actually talk to us. We will be there to interact. You might just have to answer a few questions from the bot, and that will get better. We're gonna make those more efficient.
Great, thank you, Jen. It doesn't look like Natasha wants to speak, to be honest.
I think Natasha is probably having a problem of connecting her on mic in the first place because she is unmuted,
Yeah.
but the microphone may not be connected or coming through.
Hand lowered now, so we're going to remove Natasha. But Natasha, if you figure out your microphone situation, please raise your hand again, and we'll make sure you jump to the front of the queue. No, just like that. Let's try again. Last chance, Natasha.
Okay, I'm trying.
Yes!
There we go.
Fantastic! Try turning it off
about
again.
that.
This is basically what we're often asking customers again. Hello, pleasure to have you, Natasha.
So I actually, I'm a brand new host. I literally just launched my first listing last week, and I got my first guest over the weekend. Kind of weird how I did it, but I got a Lockly Secure Pro lock for my back door and then a Schlage for my front door because I had to get them at 2 different times. Is there any way at all, if you have 2 different locking manufacturers, to kind of create the same code so that I guess I don't have 2 different codes for 2 different systems? That way I can just give the guest one code and one code accesses all of the smart locks in the space.
I will try. I am 90% sure that's what we do. But shoot us a chat. Yeah, so you can match any number of locks to a property. So you can say your one property, congrats, by the way, that's very exciting. You can say your one property has, these 2 different locks matched to it. And when we should be setting the same code on all locks matched to that property. So if that's not happening, send us a chat from your account and we could take a look, but that is what should be happening.
Okay, perfect. And I think it may be because I've been having trouble integrating Lockly with Hospitable.
Okay, it depends on the lock. So there are some Lockly locks you can connect through SmartThings, but you would need to be integrated with SmartThings and then have SmartThings integrated to us. So we can take a look at your lock specifically if you want to chat us and let us know what brand of Lockly lock that is.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
That was it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Natasha. And so next up, we have Alex. Alex, welcome on stage.
Greetings. Yeah, thank you guys for everything you guys do. So when we do a manual booking, like over the phone, I was hoping that you guys could show the process to do that. We know how to do that from the calendar, but is there a way where when you create a manual booking via the calendar, it also sends them an invoice? Because we've been sending them an invoice separately through like Stripe, if that makes sense. Is there a way to send them an invoice from like direct?
Yeah, not today. That's what we're working on now. That's part of the quote project. So yeah, it'll be basically what you're doing, but instead of needing to prepare a separate invoice, we'll go ahead and send a payment link to the user. We'll temporarily block those days. You can tell us how long you want to give them to settle the invoice. And then if they don't settle, then we'll unblock the date. So it'll be like the request to book expired, right?
Awesome. You guys are great. Thank you so much.
Cool. Yeah, no, I'm super excited for that feature to go live. It's heavily requested. So excited to finally be working on it now. Thanks.
Cool. Thank you very much, Alex. So next up we have Eddie. Welcome on stage, Eddie.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering
Hey.
about the lock feature. We have a bunch of Schlage, Schlage senses. Is there any plan to put those onto the lock feature?
Hey, I can answer that, and that I don't know. I'm sorry, we can find out. I quickly looked, it's not on I mean, we support Schlage, but I don't know about Schlage Sense specifically. But we can do some digging with our integration partner there and find out if that's something that they support and kind of add it to the list. Jen, you raised
Yes,
your hand.
currently we do not support the sense lock, so it would be Connect, Encode. So Schlage Encode and Encode Plus locks.
Yeah, we've started switching over to the encodes, but we already have I think we've got 18 properties with the senses, and they're expensive, so we don't want to switch. But we're going to go to the encodes going forward.
Gotcha. What you could do for those, how are you doing them now? Are you manually setting those codes for guests?
Yes.
Okay, so one thing you can do for those properties is if you're manually setting the codes, you could set them as the guest's last 4 digits. And in your messaging rules, you could still use a short code that pulls in the guest last 4. So at least the communication part is automatic. You would just be setting that code manually.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Just one thing, a question, Eddie. Do you have the Wi-Fi adapter on the Schlage Sense?
We do it through, the reason we use it is because it has HomeKit. So we use it through the Apple TV as the hub.
Okay, yeah.
So that's,
The main
that way
problem,
we can change it remotely.
Okay, got it. Not too familiar, but it seems like the Schlage Sense is basically the one that doesn't have native Wi-Fi connectivity, right?
Yeah, I guess it needs to have the Apple TV as a hub, I believe.
And then communicate to the lock on Bluetooth. Because yeah, that's the okay.
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah. I just quickly checked with our smart lock integration partners, and they do not currently support Schlage Sense locks. So that would mean that we can't work on that soon, but it's on their list. So I wonder if that's something that they're looking to get to soon, but I'm not really super clear on their plans.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Storm in the chat is saying that Schlage there is a Black Friday sale for Schlage Uncodes, which is actually good news if you can get your hands on one, because a few years ago it was very difficult because of supply chain issues. It was difficult to get some. So yeah, Schlage, August, now we support all of them. So no problem at all, depending on multiple vendors you can choose. And we're just adding again today new key and Igurums. So excited to have that. Thank you, Eddie. So yeah, stay tuned for updates on Schlage Sense, but it's going to be a bit of a technical challenge.
Great. Thank you very much, Eddie. So next on stage we have Jesse. Hello, Jesse.
Hello. I currently host 7 Airbnb or vacation rentals. I transitioned from saying Airbnb to vacation rentals. So I'm wondering if there's a way to send or change the amount if we give someone a discount or something like that. If that feature is available, or if there's another way to do it.
You're speaking about direct bookings, right?
Yes, on Hospitable.
Yeah, there's a few different ways, right? So there's promo codes that you can use before a booking happens to give a discount to certain people. There's a concept of adjustments. So that was released maybe a month ago. So you have a send or receive money, and that allows you to do an ad hoc charge or an ad hoc refund of any amount after the booking has happened, and then up to 2 weeks after the booking ends. Is that what you're referring to?
Yes, except I did not know about that feature, so now it's been a little while, post 2 months, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll announce it in the change log or on town halls, but you're not expected to keep up with everything. But yeah, now in direct bookings, both basic and premium, you'll see a send or receive money button in that left sidebar, where you'd make an alteration or cancel a booking. There, you'll click on that, choose refund or charge, and then you can set any amount up to the total amount. And yeah, should be nice
Cool.
and easy.
That's awesome. Thanks so much.
Cool. Yep. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much, Jesse. So next up, we actually have Alex back with another question. Hello, Alex.
Greetings again. Thank you so much. So we have been switching to the Schlage encode locks as well, and we love your guys' built-in integration with Schlage. But I was wondering if there was a way, because we've been using remote lock to change door codes for manual door codes, if that makes sense. So we use the last 4 digits of the phone number integration with Hospitable for guests, but we've received rare requests, but we do receive requests where guests ask for that number to be changed. And there's no way for us within Hospitable, at least that I'm aware of, to change that code. We have to use an external software to do that. And furthermore, I wasn't aware of a way that we could delete the code. So if there are ways to do that, I would love to be shown how to do that. Like the situation, just more context, is that there was a guest and we set the code to be the last 4 digits of their phone number, and she had a guest stay, or like I don't know the exact details, but she had someone stay that knew her phone number, but then that person left, and then they wanted us to change the code because they knew that that person knew their phone number and they knew that that was the code, and they didn't want that person coming back.
Yep.
And we didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, no, I can imagine there are a number of use cases, and that is something that we're looking at. We've got a little bit of a unique setup in Hospitable in the way we do like multiple properties sharing one lock. And so it's a little bit more complicated than a simple integration. But that is something we're looking at, like on the roadmap for smart locks and smart devices. Generally, we're working on the dashboard view right now. And that includes components. Components are going to give you actions. So we've been talking about that this week, thinking about the design. We're going to try and get those in the inbox. So any smart devices you have, we're going to want to show you those devices for that reservation, so you can change a smart lock, change the temperature on your thermostat. This is future integrations, right? Turn on the light before they arrive if you don't have an automation already set up for that. Those kind of things would be actions on a component for smart devices from the inbox, from your property page, and then in a aggregated device dashboard, so you can look at all your upcoming reservations and see all the automations you have set for those. That's a bigger project, but that's what we're working on now. So yeah, we'll have exciting updates to come, hopefully.
So just to be 100% clear, so this rollout sounds like a huge rollout. So looks like you got a lot of work on your plate, but we'll be able to manually designate codes from this rollout. Right from the
I'm not 100% certain that you can't change a code now, depending on the lock. We don't have our lock expert on here right now, but that is something that we're working on. And Jen, you have something to add?
Well, I'm 95% sure on this, Alex. But yes, we have decoupled essentially the concept of before. What was happening is if you had a lock connected desk, we created a code. If you ever manually edit that code on your Schlage app or wherever, we would reset it later because we'd be like, hey, hold up, this is something we're managing. It's not what we expected to see. But recently we did change that. So you should be able to edit the code on your own, and we won't replace that or recreate it. So yeah, test that and see if you can change a lock or a code for a guest. You should be able to.
You're saying I could do this from the Hospitable dashboard, or are you advising that I do this from the Schlage app?
From Schlage, yeah.
Okay, understood.
Yep.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, Alex. So next up we have Hans. Hello, Hans. Welcome on stage.
Hello. Yeah, I have a guest who did a direct booking, and they were supposed to arrive today, actually, and they decided that they wanted to check in a couple days early, so we adjusted that reservation. I also have automated messages that go out 2 days prior with all the information, door codes, all that stuff. And instead of updating and sending 2 days prior, which would be Saturday, the message was pegged to Monday, so it sent the day that they arrived instead of 2 days prior. So I'm guessing that's probably how it was designed, or perhaps this was kind of a one-off issue. I'm not sure.
Hans, when did you say that they booked?
So they booked. They were supposed to arrive today. They wanted to, and so the original message should have been sent Monday, which it was sent Monday, but then they changed the reservation to arrive Monday. So I was thinking, hey, that message should go out Saturday, but it didn't go out Saturday.
We're looking at each other. Who is going to
Yeah,
reply
we're
and say talk first? First, the one that talks, please. Sorry, Hans. Just to confirm, you've made that adjustment. You made the alteration on Hospitable to basically inform Hospitable, obviously, that the check-in will be happening earlier, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And you basically indirect as charged. Has there been was there a charge associated with it for the adjustment? Like having a check-in, adding 2 dates? It was adding 2 nights or just changing the dates?
Yeah, I mean, everything, the payment and all that stuff went through fine. The
Okay.
booking was adjusted, whatever. This is more on the automated message side.
Yeah.
To where it didn't send. It sent when it was originally scheduled to send, but it didn't update and say,
Oh.
it needed to send Saturday instead of Monday.
Did you
Got it. Well,
save? Go ahead,
Yeah,
Jen.
go ahead.
That's your territory.
I was just gonna say, shoot us a message with a specific guest name
Yeah.
and we can look. It could be a bug, but it could have just been expected depending on what's going on. So it might be better for us to look at directly with you.
Okay.
But in
All right.
general, if you make alteration to a reservation, change the check-in time, date, that should reschedule all messages that haven't already been sent to accommodate for that new time.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
And
Yeah.
just to refresh my memory, Jen, because you're going to be far more familiar with that, but we do adjust the date even if a message was saved manually, right? Do we?
That might be a unique case where,
Yeah.
that may not be happening. So yeah, let's take a
It's
look.
not-
specifically.
that's
Yeah.
slated to be fixed. Yeah.
Whoa, Andrew. Oh, come on, I'm shooting my office. You're saying it's fixed, which means you
No, I
knew
said
about
it's
it?
slated to be fixed.
Okay, so
There is a ticket that I know that
Okay.
doesn't work. If you manually edit a message, we also don't change the time then because you manually edited the
Okay.
content of the message, which
Yeah.
doesn't make
Yeah, yeah.
sense. That will be fixed.
But on direct adjustments, not adjusting messages. Are you familiar with this? Or
I don't think there's anything
Okay.
unique to direct with it. No.
no? Normally, no. Absolutely not. Okay, thank you, Hans, for escalating. We'll look into that.
Thank you.
Definitely, because that's not expected behavior. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hans. Andrea, before we take a few more questions from the audience, I'm just going to throw it to you. We've had a bunch of direct questions, as always. I think they've all been answered in the Q&A now, but there's a couple you might want to pick out to answer more broadly for people.
Yeah, there were a couple questions about pricing and the value versus an OTA channel. And just to be clear on the communication there, so we do have a channel for direct that has 0 fees, and that's direct basic. So if you really want to be aggressive on cost, you can do that. It has a different feature set than direct premium, which does have a guest service fee. Direct basic, you're only going to pay the payment processing fees to Stripe. Otherwise, there are no additional fees. So that's the base. If you want to do premium and you don't like being the merchant of record, you don't want to deal with chargebacks, we have a fraud chargeback guarantee with premium. We do the guest vetting, we do the damage protection. If you want all those services, we have a very affordable rate, which is 6% plus $10 on the transaction. And as long as you have kind of an average transaction size that's not in like the $100, $150 range, you're going to see 10 to 14% discount over Airbnb and more over any other OTA channel. When we say discount, that's including a richer payout for you. So you have some flexibility in the markup rates to decide how cheap you want to make it for the guest and how much richer you want to make your payout for the host. So you can set negative markup rates. You can make sure that your markup rates are accurate for the OTA channels. So you're reflecting the true cost to you. So when Airbnb takes 3% out of your payout to cover, I guess, payment processing fees, we would expect you to take a 3% markup on that when you set your fees for Airbnb, and take a 0% or even a -% for direct premium, because we don't charge you for payment processing fees. You get to keep 100% of your payout. So that's, I know that communication has been, it's a lot to get out. I tried to do it as clearly as possible. It's a lot. We're thinking about how we can improve that and make that more clear, both to you, to the guest, to everyone. That is an ongoing discussion, not something that I think we're ready to announce today. But yeah, that's the gist of it. There is a lot of latitude, I think, of what's being saved. You have control and markup rates, how much you want to share with the guest or the host. And if you think it's not competitive enough against the OTA channels and you're willing to go out on your own with the risk, we have direct basic for hosts that are ready to do that. And that is a no fee, absolutely no fee channel. Yeah.
Just one thing to clarify, and I was checking on the dashboard to basically ensure we have updated up-to-date data. For one customer that's using Direct Basic, we have 3 that are using Direct Premium. I think the test here, really, if you hesitate between one or the other, you can make it about cost, sure, fine. Just if you know what a chargeback is, and you believe you can appropriately defend against 100% loss of your revenue, you can go to Direct Basic. If you know that a cancellation, you canceling a reservation will cost you 6% in payment processing fee, you should go with Direct Basic. If you are going to be on Direct Premium, our chargeback for a $10,000 reservation is our problem, is not yours. If you are canceling a reservation, it's on us, not on you. It costs you exactly 0% to cancel a reservation. And I think, there are some customers. We had an employee, Kevin, who was also a property manager, basically was sharing also his experience when he got listed on another channel, and basically first transaction, being a merchant of record, got a chargeback. And it was with a guest that basically just didn't recognize the charge because they booked on a channel. They booked on a channel, and they saw a completely different merchant. So of course, you don't recognize a transaction on your bank statement. You say, no, I don't understand, fraud. So it's called friendly chargebacks, and that's really is just a pain in the rear, because all of a sudden you have a guest that is very happy to stay at your property, but you have to explain to them that no, they have not paid, and you need to get your money back. But in the same time, your Stripe account is getting really flagged because your first transaction is a chargeback. So I think it takes really a specific skill set to be operating on Direct Basic. You can make it about how cheap you can go, but I think really, if you have to factor in, a percentage fee, I genuinely believe that it's extremely good value for money. Is that you don't have to think about any of the things I've been talking to you about, and I know that basically is probably what's on your mind. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you both, Andrew and PC. So next up, we have Natasha back with another question. Natasha, welcome you back on stage.
Hi, thanks again for having me. Quick question, and I feel like nobody ever asks about this, and I submitted it as one of the upvote suggestions, but I currently have an ADT alarm panel in my property, and I like to keep it armed, especially if there's not going to be anybody there. Is there any way, or do you foresee maybe integrating an ADT panel with Hospitable, so that same exact thing with the smart lock, so that Hospitable would randomly create a 4-digit code that I could include with the check-in instructions?
It's a big one.
Yeah, I've got a bit of context because I'm sitting in weekly meetings with the smart device team, which to date is a smart lock team. We are starting to think about non-lock integrations. It's probably going to be thermostats first. And I think the best way for you to make your case is to go to our feedback and try and get some upvotes on it and see, and it will get our attention. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what's going to dictate the roadmap on what integrations we look like or what our hosts are asking for. So yeah, we don't get a lot of requests for that, but I see the use case. It's interesting. It's just a matter of how we can prioritize it going forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So now we are basically, Andrew, you can say that and then having a ring of riot. What are we considering for the next generation of smart devices? If you can lift the veil a little bit, which obviously we get people very excited and then we have to tell them not yet, so please be patient. But what are we considering right now?
I mean, thermostats, and I don't even want to say a brand at the moment. But yeah, I think the next device type for us is thermostats. We are including them in the current smart device dashboard that is being designed on the product side. We're accommodating for at least thermostats and realizing that, yeah, it will keep branching out. So yeah, if that roadmap is a bit amorphous right now, but it's getting exciting. It'll no longer be just locks.
Yeah. Should I say something?
Go ahead.
There are a few things I've heard about. So definitely thermostat, time is right, especially if we can make it saving us money, making sure that you can enforce rules about that, make sure that your property is heated or cooled, and not wasting energy, which are very expensive in many parts of the world. There's also I think we're also lights. I think that's I fail to see a lot of compelling value to do something like this. Alarms, so that's what we were talking about with ADT, smoke detectors, moisture detectors, smoke detectors, smoking detectors, and noise. So I think that's definitely something that's particularly interesting. I think it helps comply in HOAs or city regulations, making sure that you respect your neighborhood. There's also some ones that are very exotic, and I didn't even know it could exist, but hot tubs. I cannot imagine how expensive it is to have a hot tub as an amenity in a vacation rental, and I know a lot of you have some. And so you can really educate me about how expensive it is to be running. Yeah, so that's basically kind of a thing. And apparently some hot tubs can be connected to Wi-Fi, and so can be programmatically adjusted. So I think that could be also a great opportunity for saving money without interfering with the guest experience. If we can connect like this wide array of amenities and make sure that they're ready for when the guest checks in, and yeah, having a nice setup. Did I disclose too much, Andrew?
No, I'm
about 15 minutes.
We'll the integration of the hot tubs, we can just directly build a utility cost with markup.
That's what I think. That's what I think. I have some space somewhere where we can probably put a hot tub just for testing purposes. We need to get everything we try.
Yeah, the pool heating fees were one of the major drivers of the send or receive money button, was for the pool heating. So if we get a smart device connected to it, it can just be automated charging for your use of the device.
Magical. Yeah.
Emily, you want to kind of cut in and answer a parent-child request that came in?
Yay!
Yeah. So Daniel asked a question in the Q&A that, quite frankly, I was trying to type up, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to type this, so I'm just going to answer it with actual out loud words. So Daniel's question was around our limitations on like how many listings can be within like a relationship, right? So Airbnb actually puts a limit on this. They don't allow you to link more than X amount of calendars. We haven't discussed an explicit limit. I'm sure one day someone will try to link up a gajillion calendars and we'll have to be like, whoa, that's too much. But the root of the question that I really want to get to is this. So Daniel has described that he has one property that has 2 floors, and each floor has 2 apartments, right? So he's listing out the whole house, and then he's also listing out each individual apartment, and then he's also listing out each individual floor. So that is, when we talk about this internally, we say that's like 3 levels deep, right? Like you have a parent that has children that has grandchildren. We're not going to support that many levels out the gate. Not saying we won't get there, because I've actually, like, in conversations with hosts, like I've actually heard of a lot of people doing this. I don't think it's that uncommon. But just, in an effort to get something out there, see how it works, and then improve upon it, we're going to start by only supporting 2 levels deep. So you'll be able to have a parent that has multiple children. So Daniel, for your specific use case, you can still have the parent property be your entire house, and you would just have to make a choice at that point whether you choose for your children to have 2 children each floor or have 4 children each unit. So that's what we'll support out of the gate. Another kind of unique configuration we're doing that Airbnb doesn't do right now out of the box is we're allowing different blocking behavior depending on your specific setup. So the way that Daniel described it is kind of a typical setup where it's kind of like a duplex, right? You can actually have, this apartment booked at the same time as this apartment. You can have 2 families staying in one whole house at the same time. We're also going to be supporting something different, which we've seen a lot of hosts do to maybe optimize weekday bookings, where you might have a really big house that has 10 bedrooms and it's like super popular on the weekends for family vacations, but on weekdays, maybe not so much. And we've seen some hosts take their big house listing property and make like a smaller listing of that and like lock a couple bedroom doors and market that as a smaller property to optimize for weekday bookings. So in those situations, you don't actually want multiple families staying in your one house. We're going to support that configuration as well, where if you get a booking on any of the parent or children, like it's going to block everything off no matter what. So you'll be able to actually choose how you want that to behave. So Daniel, I hope that answered your question. It was just kind of tough to type up. But I would encourage you, I can find the Typeform link and drop it to you here and also in the chat to sign up for the private beta if you want to be a part of testing out parent-child when we release it.
Cool. Thank you very much, Emily. So I think we may end up running a couple of minutes over here with many people that want to talk. Arthur's iPhone, you are up next. Hello and welcome on stage.
Yes, hi. Quick question. I just signed up for Direct Premium and wondering for the URL, is it possible to have 2 URLs? Like, let's say if I want to have a property in another city and to have let's say, URL for that location, for example, is it possible to have 2 URLs, or is this something that in the future we might be able to do?
Yeah, you're able to create multiple sites, either on your own or using Hospitable. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm gonna hesitate to give SEO advice one or the other, but yeah, you have that option today. You're able to create sites. When you create a site, you scope which properties you want listed on that site, right? So it's easy peasy to get set up with 2 sites.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Cool. Yep.
Thank you very much, Arthur. And now moving on to Arcus.
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
I'm sorry, my question is kind of outside of the scope. Like all the updates sound really, really great, but the way that tickets are being handled is very different now. So I'm just wondering if there's been a new procedure in place. Like the ticket support handling, like it's been 2 weeks. I've been jumped from Efren, Rayner, Kelly, Safra, Cameron, and now Lisa, and each representative contradicts the previous one and is requesting something that the next representative is like, oh, no, you're not going crazy. You shouldn't be able to see the iCal or the sync calendar feature because of this. And then the other representative is like, oh, now you've been disconnected. When was it disconnect? But even though I was on a call with like Cameron, I don't know. It just seems like I have so many different representatives working on the same ticket or just the ticket being passed along. Is there like a different hierarchy in terms of how tickets are handled, or
not been changed? It's not been changed. You're just dealing probably with very complex issues where there is not a compelling answer, and so we need to try and experiment. So generally there are parts where there is a lot of complexity and maybe even ambiguity, and we're doing our best to probably try and generate ideas. So and baggage may vary. They all have experience. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Unfortunately, for sure, that shouldn't be at the expense of the customers and the customers' time in particular, especially since you've taken some calls. So no change on our side, and we want to improve on things. One other thing we talked about, for example, just yesterday on a support meeting, was getting more probably like a level further in terms of specialization, so that the agents that you're talking to have experience in a particular field. So that can be connectivity, that can be smart locks. We already have a specific and dedicated team for direct, which is doing an amazing job. But yeah, so Jen, did you want to add something to that? You obviously
I
you
mean,
want
no,
to, you want to get it.
nothing in particular. But yeah, Arcus, I was going to say, I'm actually looking in our system. I'm not sure. I don't see the recent one, so maybe you submitted it under a different name. But yeah, we don't want it to go on for months. Absolutely not. That's not our
No.
goal. We do have a 24-hour support team. So if one of us leaves for the day, we don't want it to just sit and wait all day. So a teammate will step in and help so that there's kind of continued support. But we don't want that to feel like you need to repeat yourself or like we're not making progress. Yeah, I think you probably do have a really tricky issue that we're just trying to like try different things on and figure out, as Pierre said. But will you ping me on that ticket and just say, hey, Jen, here's the thing I brought up at town hall. And I want to take a look at that for you today as well and see if we can make progress for you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really
Okay.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
of course.
And I'll be
Okay.
following up. I want to check as well. I'm curious what issue can have so many people in a team to be having different answers. Not great.
Okay, hopefully we get to the bottom of that. So to close us out, we have Anthony, the gentleman that saved everyone 45% of
Saves
their
everyone
mobile screen.
45%, yeah. 45%
Yeah.
of real estate on your mobile phone. On your mobile.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for throwing that together so fast. That was lightning fast that you did that. And congratulations on moving over to the new platform with feature requests and connected to the back end from a dev perspective. I love that idea. I did have a question about that specifically. How can I share the specific feature requests with outside of the little window that it's trapped in, where I'm able to comment on and click on never, occasionally, regular, daily, whatever, all the different reactions. But how do I get that out of there? There's no little link button to share it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Anthony. We talked about this earlier today, actually. So that is going to be accessible from a separate link. So like not just within the like messaging pop-up thing. But we want to make sure that we maintain your login, right? So that we know that like if you're accessing that it's you and that it's connected to your Hospitable account email. So there's like a couple little development items we need to do in order to make sure that happens, so that if you're actually sharing that link, you're not needing to create your own account on FeatureBase, which would just be you maintaining way too many accounts, right? So we're working on that because we would love for you to be able to, create a feedback item and share it. In the meantime, it is kind of stuck in there. But we'll work on fixing that for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Anthony. And that's us at time. So PC, any closing words for us today? Just throw it to you.
I got
Pressure.
pressure. No, nothing else. Thank you everyone for attending. I think we had a very good number. Thank you for your participation. Takes a bit of time, and then I feel like now in the last 20 minutes, plenty of questions over on the chat in particular, and plenty of good tips. So I see that there are plenty of services that allow you to integrate with your hot tub. So something good to know for the next retreat. I guess we're gonna have to tinker around that. Yeah, so plenty of development on Direct. So I'm really excited to bring that over. There's going to be plenty more. I've been quiet for this week. There will be plenty more opportunities for me to talk a lot later. But yeah, I want to thank everyone for attending, and this engineering team and product team for shipping stuff, and the support team for answering all your questions. Just one last shout before everybody leaves. I feel compelled that if you are bringing up the response times, you also know about our priority support. And unfortunately, in the beginning, I was afraid that we'll be mentioning that thing as a money grab. Not at all. It's really, we're making probably 300 euros a month over that. So really something irrelevant for a business. But it helps, especially if you are one of those people that really want to have response in a timely fashion, or want to send messages to our support team, especially when you are on the go, on WhatsApp, for example. I really cannot recommend enough to add that add-on. It's $10 minimum. It's probably is worth a lot more from your time and usability perspective. So I recommend you check out support tiers, so you can check what is included in a priority support. And I also want to thank the few investors that have invested $5,000 in the past few weeks to be part of a VIP priority support. So if you are an accredited investor, or you're really referring a lot of people to a Hospitable, like a minimum of 5 active customers, we basically can invite you over as an ambassador. You'll be not only having my phone number, which actually, if you want an update on that, nobody's using. Not, I was expecting a few more, to be honest. And you would also have access to Slack, so you basically can stay connected with the rest of the team and be involved directly into conversations about feedback from our product and engineering team. So yeah, thank you very much. You can check out those support tiers directly in the product. And we are seeing fantastic progress as we prioritize those customers for making sure that the responses are timely. So within 30 minutes max. That's our hypothesis right now, our theory right now. Thank you very much, and see you in 2 weeks, same place, same time. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day.